Hello and welcome. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran and you're watching News Night on DD India and DD News, your prime-time destination for news and bespoke analysis. It's good to have you again with us. All right, on the show tonight, an in-depth look at the terror factory that is Pakistan, the epicenter of terrorism that goes by the name of Pakistan. And as India put it so eloquently at the United Nations in 2016, the land of Takshashila, one of the greatest learning centers of ancient times, is now host to the Ivy League of terrorism. We get you the details of the 13,800-page charge sheet filed by the National Investigation Agency or NIA into the 2019 Pulwama terror attack, in which more than 40 Indian paramilitary personnel were killed. But that's not all. We also expose Pakistan's lies and deceit. A distinguished panel of experts will join me in a bit to call Pakistan's bluff on the issue of terrorism. Also on the show, the latest on the Maharashtra building collapse tragedy and our continued focus on the race to the White House. Plus, news and updates from India and around the world, all that and much, much more coming up over the next 1 hour. But first, as always, the headlines. NIA files a 13,800-page charge sheet in the Pulwama terror attack case against 19 accused, 7 of whom are Pakistani nationals. Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar named the main accused. Charge sheet clearly spells out links with Pakistan. Once again, India exposes Pakistani lies and deceit, this time at the United Nations. Slams Pakistan for claiming to be a victim of terrorism when sanctioned terrorists continue to operate from its soil against India. Good news in India's battle against COVID-19 pandemic. 66,000 people recover in the last 24 hours. It's the highest number of recoveries in a single day. The recovery rate improves further to 75.92%, and globally, the number of the infected rises to 2 crore and 38 lakh. Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank says the JEE and NEET exams are taking place at the request of parents and students alike. The Minister says in an exclusive interview that 85% of students have already downloaded the admit card. Union Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari lays a foundation stone of 45 highway projects in Madhya Pradesh. The nearly 1,400-kilometer-long road projects will pave the way for development in the state with enhanced connectivity and economic growth. The Supreme Court reserved the verdict on quantum of sentence in a contempt case against lawyer Prashant Bhushan. A new bench to hear another contempt case dating back to 2009 against Bhushan next month as Justice Arun Mishra retires in the first week of September. At least 13 people die in the Raigad building collapse in Maharashtra. More than 60 rescued, including a child. Case filed against builder. The President and Prime Minister expressed grief over the tragedy. Flash flood warning issued in Gujarat and southwestern Rajasthan. Meteorology department predicts heavy rainfall in Odisha and West Bengal. The Sharda and Saryu rivers flow above the danger mark at some places in Uttar Pradesh. The water level rises in the Yamuna, but no change in the Bihar flood situation. And First Lady Melania Trump and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo are key speakers on the second night of the 2020 Republican National Convention. 2 of President Donald Trump's children, Eric and Tiffany, will also speak. Pompeo is breaking with tradition and addressing the convention as the Secretary of State. All right, our cover story is about the charge sheet in the Pulwama terror attack. Remember, the attack took place on 14th February last year in which at least 40 Indian paramilitary personnel were killed. The charge sheet points to a clear Pakistani hand in the attack. It names Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar, his brothers and nephew. It is another irrefutable evidence of Pakistan's role in carrying out terror attacks in India against India. The National Investigation Agency on Tuesday filed a charge sheet in a Jammu court against 19 people, including Masood Azhar, the chief of banned terror group Jaish-e-Mohammed, for planning and carrying out a deadly suicide attack on a CRPF convoy that left more than 40 personnel dead at Pulwama in Jammu and Kashmir in February 2019. Masood Azhar was the mastermind of the attack. 18 others were named in the charge sheet. They included Azhar's brothers Abdul Rauf Asghar and Ammar Alvi and nephew Umar Farooq. Farooq was the son of Ibrahim Attar, who was accused of hijacking an Indian aircraft in 1999. 7 of the 19 persons named in the charge sheet have been arrested. The NIA solved what was a blind case after piecing together the electronic evidence and statements of terrorists and their sympathizers arrested in different cases.
2019, Modi government brought in an amendment to that act. This is the first case which has started after the amendment. Pulwama will set up a benchmark as to how international agencies have to work in coordination with each other in dealing with terrorism.
This case also brings to light the use of e-commerce platforms by terrorists and their handlers for purchase of high-end batteries, phones and some chemicals. The charge sheet states that Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorist Adil Ahmed Dar drove the IED-laden vehicle. The JEM leaders have been sending their cadres to the terrorist training camps of Al-Qaeda Taliban JEM and Haqqani JEM in Afghanistan for receiving training in explosives and other terrorist tactics. The main accused, Muhammad Umar Farooq, also visited Afghanistan for explosives training in 2016 and 17. He infiltrated into India through the international border at Jammu-Samba sector in April 2018 and took over as the Jaish-e-Mohammed's commander of Pulwama. Muhammad Umar, along with 3 Pakistani compatriots and 2 local associates, planned and prepared for the attack on the security forces using IEDs. The investigation has revealed that the Pakistan-based JEM leadership, consisting of Masood Azhar, Rauf Asghar and Ammar Alvi, were continuously giving directions and guidance to the Pakistani JEM terrorists. The investigation also revealed a well-crafted mechanism by Pakistani establishment to push terrorists into the Indian territory from the launch pads located in Shakargarh in Pakistan opposite Samba Katwa sector in Jammu. The charge sheet has brought on record the all-out involvement of Pakistan-based entities to carry out terrorist strikes in India and to incite and provoke Kashmiri youth. NBWs have been issued against the absconding accused and further investigation in the case is continuing. The 13,800-page charge sheet names people who were arrested from Pulwama for providing shelter and shooting the last video of Adil Dar. With Sudhakar Das in New Delhi, Newsnight Desk, DD India. Alright, let me quickly run you through some more information that will speak to you, the viewers, about the extent of Pakistan's complicity and duplicity on the issue of terror directed against India in particular. Take a look at the graphics behind me on the wall. First up, now, these are pictures of terrorists who have been named in the charge sheet in the Pulwama terror case attacks. The idea is not to give them publicity, because publicity is oxygen to the terrorists. The idea is to tell you, the viewers, about the extent of complicity and duplicity on the issue of terrorism by Pakistan. Now, it also shares and speaks to the fact that they received training in Afghanistan at the same time, and also that it's now time for the world at large to come together to unite and call Pakistan's bluff on the issue of terrorism. Why? Because starting June, in the last 7 months alone, there have been a number of encounters in which a number of terrorists have been killed in Jammu and Kashmir. First up is June 7th, a Hizbul Mujahideen terrorist among 5 killed in an encounter in Shopian in Jammu and Kashmir. The next date is June the 1st, 3 Pakistani terrorists killed in Rajouri, again in Jammu and Kashmir. The next date is the 8th of April of this year, when a Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorist was killed in an encounter in Baramulla. The next date goes back to February the 18th, when 2 Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists were killed in an encounter again in Pulwama. And again going back to February 9th and 10th, when 3 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists were killed in Poonch. And finally in January, when 3 Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists were killed in an encounter in Pulwama. All right, now take a look at the number of terrorists killed in the last 5 or 6 years. Let's start with 2014 all the way down till July of this year. Take a look. In 2014, more than 100 terrorists were killed in all across Jammu and Kashmir. That figure dropped to 97 the next year, but again rose to 140 in the year 2016, 210 in 2017. In 2018, the highest number so far, 249, and that number last year was 160, and this year till July alone, 148 terrorists have been killed in Jammu and Kashmir. So that should give you a sense of the extent of the problem at hand when we talk about Pakistan and terrorism. Right, time for a very short break here on Newsnet. When we come back, we'll have guests over for a discussion in our In Focus segment. Keep watching Newsnight. Don't go anywhere.
पक्की होगी बुनियादें तो हंसे हिंदुस्तान होगा पहल करो शुरुआत करो करो तो पक्की बात करो पहल करो शुरुआत करो करो तो
वंडर सीमेंट, एक परफेक्ट शुरुआत।
The night is wild, so let's drive wild. So let's drive wild. Presenting a new level of wild. Kia Sonnet, bookings open. Now that's wild.
आधुनिक और आसान होते जा रहे हैं परिवार नियोजन के साधन, जैसे नया MPA इंजेक्शन। फोन करें और पाएं परिवार नियोजन से जुड़ी हर जानकारी। जोड़ी जिम्मेदार जो प्लान करे परिवार।
Welcome back. You're watching Newsnight on DD India and DD News. Time now for our In Focus segment, in which we are discussing about NIA charge sheet nails Pakistan's lies. I repeat, NIA charge sheet nails Pakistan's lies. Joining me are 2 eminent guests, G. Parthasarathy and Sushant Sareen. Now, they need no introduction, but just for the benefit of viewers who might be tuning in from around the world, G. Parthasarathy has served as India's High Commissioner to Pakistan, Australia and Cyprus, and also Ambassador to Myanmar. And Sushant Sareen is a Senior Fellow at the Observer Research Foundation, which is a privately held think tank based in New Delhi. Gentlemen, welcome to Newsnight. Let me start with you, Ambassador Parthasarathy. First up, your opening comments on the pages after pages in the charge sheet in the Pulwama attack case, which, there's proof beyond doubt now of Pakistan's complicity and duplicity on the issue of terror in general and Pulwama attack in particular. Your thoughts, High Commissioner Parthasarathy?
Well, certainly this is another coming out of huge evidence about Pakistani involvement in terrorism, the latest serious one being Pulwama. But I think this particular one is important because it has been more or less accompanied a financial action task force resolution,
Right.
which Pakistan is being forced to implement. And that's where it has to take action against these people. Having said that, I'm afraid that Pakistan will again stall. Let us not forget, we also are guilty in many ways. We released Jaish-e-Mohammed leader Maulana Masood Azhar during the hijacking of IC-814. It was a dreadful mistake. He then organized the attack on the Indian Parliament, and it has grown from strength to strength, as has the Lashkar-e-Taiba. But where Pakistan is feeling the squeeze and is really getting more and more caught in this trap is in the Financial Action Task Force internationally. Much of the evidence we have, the Americans also have, and the others also have. But it is good to secure convictions to see that the legal process is through in India. That we have a legal process, it is a fair process, they have been tried and found guilty. But if anyone believes that any one of those guys who are with them are going to be returned to us, think afresh. Because even in the Financial Action Task Force, Pakistan is going to stall.
Right.
In an ultimate analysis, you don't deal with terrorists as we dealt with them in the past. They have to be eliminated, whether they are in Pakistan or anywhere else in the world. And that is a matter of further discussion and what government will be planning to do.
Absolutely. Coming to you now, Sushant Serene, what next for India? What must India say or do in the, going forward? And also, what must India tell the world at large so that they come together, unite and call Pakistan's bluff on terror and impose costs on Pakistan going forward as well?
Look, the way I look at it is that India has said enough of whatever had to be said on the issue of terrorism, on Pakistan's involvement in terrorism, on Pakistan being the epicenter, and as you earlier said, the Ivy League of terrorism. I think all of that has been said and done.
Right.
I think what is really important about this particular investigation, and let's not forget, it's taken a year and a half for the investigating agencies to painstakingly piece together the entire evidence which implicates not just the Jaish-e-Mohammed, but also by extension the Pakistani state for this particular action. So this is not an off-the-cuff, not a knee-jerk kind of a response, which very often comes the moment, a terror attack happens. Now, also don't forget the fact that when the Pulwama attack happened, there was, even at that point of time, a video of the Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorist who actually carried out that horrible attack, admitting not just his affiliation, but the fact that confessing that he was carrying out the attack. So in a sense, it was already known that the Jaish-e-Mohammed was behind this attack, and by extension, Pakistan was behind it. Even then, I think it was very important, something which we have been lacking over the last 30 years, that every time a terror incident happens, responsibility is fixed, but we do not painstakingly follow through on the investigations and piece together the entire thing. That has not happened this time. This time, I think it's very meticulous, the way that the NIA has gone about its business, the way they have cracked the case, the way they have marshaled the evidence and presented it in the charge sheet. So I think now nobody in the world can say that, look, the Indians are in just a habit of pointing their finger at the Pakistanis. There is adequate information, evidence, all sorts of other things which have been produced in the charge sheet to implicate both the terror organization and the terror mastermind, which to my mind is not Masood Azhar, it's the Pakistani GHQ, which is the mastermind of these kind of attacks. And let's not make any mistake about that. Let's not pull any punches on that. That it's the terrorist state of Pakistan which is responsible for spawning terror organizations which carry out these attacks. And that, to my mind, is the real import of this charge sheet, which now needs to be disseminated widely among friendly countries to show them the true face of Pakistan.
Absolutely. High Commissioner Parthasarathy, you raised the issue of the Financial Action Task Force, or FATF. Now, there's no denying that the FATF has kept up pressure on Pakistan for it to come good on its commitments or promises. But there's the problem of Pakistan's links with countries, especially FATF members such as Turkey, or China for that matter. So what's the way forward in resolving those issues within the FATF so that Pakistan is actually made to pay for the, for the actions it has taken against India?
No, the fact of the matter is that even if China and Turkey are with them, they're two members, and China won't be chairman indefinitely. Now, I think the fact of the matter is the FATF has acted as the international pressure point, and it is good. I would think the real success of Indian diplomacy is, and in fact our investigative agencies, because you can file a charge sheet in your court, but in the financial action task force, you've got hard-nosed people from over 100 countries. So I think that has been the major success in bringing international pressure on them. Yes, when these documents are presented, it becomes added pressure for them to continue on the path they have done. But as I said, I think that the way Pakistan sort of maneuvers in this thing, it will do something cosmetic to deal with these guys. And I think dealing with them, as I said, also requires to use capabilities which we have but which we don't speak of, to act, to tell them that these things are going to be costly. And that is something we need to follow up on. But otherwise, I think, as Sushant says, all credit to the NIA.
Right.
And in fact, all credit to the investigative agencies who have been providing the world with the evidence required. And I think about the only country which has a large amount of collected evidence on its own is the United States. I think it's also been a good push of law and order machinery working together with the diplomatic machinery. And I can say this, that in the last few years, with much more impetus in Mr. Modi's time than I have seen before. It is very purposeful, very focused, and producing results.
Indeed. Coming to you now, Sushant Sareen, I want you to look ahead. Now, we are 71 days away from the US presidential election. Help our viewers understand the contrast, the two candidates, President Trump from the Republican Party and Biden from the Democrats. What should India and the world expect from the next president, whoever that might be, insofar as these issues such as terror is concerned?
Frankly, I think it's anybody's guess what will happen. Mr. Trump, while he was very friendly towards India, had his own compulsions, related to Afghanistan, for which he was willing to soft pedal the Pakistanis. I don't think he had any love lost for the Pakistanis, and yet he had to sweet talk them, and there was only a limit to which the Americans would go to fix the Pakistanis because of their own compulsions. Will those compulsions change when the next president comes in? I'm afraid not. I think both Biden and Trump are pretty much on the same page when it comes to Afghanistan. So as long as the Americans stay present in Afghanistan, I think those compulsions are going to remain. So I think we need to be a little realistic on how much we can expect the Americans to side with us on this particular issue. That is one part of it. The second part of it is that I think in any case, if we get any cooperation from the Americans or from any other country in the world, that's good. But to depend upon that cooperation to take out the Pakistani terror machinery or to fix the Pakistanis, I think that's a bit of a mug's game. We need to develop our own capabilities and capacities to be able to do that, rather than look at the Americans or somebody else to be able to do that. Of course, that helps us hell of a lot, but I don't think we can actually depend on it ever.
I want to take the same question across to High Commissioner Parthasarathy. High Commissioner Parthasarathy, how would you compare the two gentlemen, a Trump 2.0 or a Biden presidency, on the issue of Pakistan, terrorism, and so on and so forth?
Frankly, I go along with Sushant. When it comes to terrorism, they will help us to the extent that it does not impact on the cooperation they need from Pakistan on Afghanistan. But as if they get out of Afghanistan, then certainly the Indian leverage increases, because then they are not having troops out there fighting. So if they get some form of, but there won't be peace in Afghanistan. And one more point I wish to make is that we have friends in Afghanistan. We have friends whom we have helped. We have friends who hate the ISI and the Pakistani jihadis. I think a time has come when perhaps we should ask our Afghan friends, in fact, and do it ourselves perhaps, to get after these guys, especially on the North Waziristan, South Waziristan area. That is where the Haqqani network of the Taliban operates out of. So to deal with terrorism flowing from beyond Pakistan's borders, or where Pakistani terrorists take up haven, I would not be surprised if the number of these groups moved to areas which were held by the Pakistani Taliban, even after the Americans leave. So these are areas where we will have to, as Sushant says, become much more imaginative on dealing with. And I'm afraid we have seen some signs of that, but ultimately even God won't help those who don't help themselves. So you're going to knock out these guys in South or North Waziristan, where there is also Pashtun discontent. You have to build your capabilities.
Absolutely.
That is it. And then people will respect you. But right now, you know, like as I said, when the Taliban was there, when the Americans were supposedly bombing them, they hit a camp of the Jaish-e-Mohammed. So, or then the Harkat al-Mujahideen, as it was known. So I think we should not allow Afghanistan also to become a rear base. And therefore, diplomacy will have to be much more coordinated. And of course, the international pressure on Pakistan must continue. I don't think there are any Pakistanis any longer, after the Saudi fiasco, regarded with the same sort of affection as they were earlier. After all, let's not forget, we've conducted our diplomacy well with these Islamic countries. Abu Dhabi invited us for an Islamic foreign ministers meeting, which took the Pakistanis. So I think it is a larger question of how we play our diplomacy across the Islamic world and keep people guarded about the dangers that Pakistan's policies entail for all of us.
Indeed. I would have loved to continue this conversation, but I'm running out of time completely. So on that note, I want to thank both my guests, High Commissioner Parthasarathy and Sushant Sareen, for joining us on Newsnight. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, time for a short break here on Newsnight. Keep watching Newsnight. Don't go anywhere.
राम मंदिर के निर्माण से एक नया अध्याय लिखा जाएगा, विकास का, सांस्कृतिक एकता का, सामाजिक समरसता का, और इस बात का भी ये देश सबका है, सब एक साथ रहे। राम राष्ट्र की चेतना है। महात्मा गांधी की भी समाधि पर हम हे राम लिखा हुआ देखते हैं। वो भी अपनी प्रार्थनाओं में कहते थे, राम इस राष्ट्र की मूल सत्ता है। राम एकत्व का प्रतीक है, राम अनेकता में एकता का प्रतीक है।
All right, welcome back. In news just coming in, this has to do with the JEE and NEET exams, and I have the press release with me. And I'll read it out for the benefit of viewers who might just be tuning in. This, mind you, is news just coming in. And I quote the statement here, and there you go on your screens as well. On the request of the students, the JEE Main and NEET UG, which were earlier scheduled to be held in the month of July, were postponed to be held in the month of September 2020. In view of the academic interest of the students, these exams are now scheduled to be held as follows. The JEE Main will be held from 1st September to the 6th of September. I repeat, JEE Main from 1/9/2020 to 6/9/2020 and the NEETJEE on the 13th of September. Now, the statement goes on to say, and I quote the statement again, the Honorable Supreme Court has also inter alia ordered that we find there is absolutely no justification in the prayer made for postponement of the examination in question relating to NEETJEE 2020 as well as JEE Main April 2020, unquote. The NTA, that's the National Testing Agency, has since then released admit cards of JEE Main examination. The admit cards of NEETJEE 2020 will also be released shortly. And the NTA has ensured that more than 99% candidates get their first choice of center cities in both of these examinations. It goes on to say the number of examination centers have also been increased from 570 to 660 in case of JEE Main and from 2546 to 3,843 in case of NEETJEE 2020. Now, the JEE Main is computer-based test and the NEETJEE is pen-paper-based test. And additionally, in case of JEE Main, the number of shifts has been increased from the earlier 8 to 12 and the number of candidates per shift has been reduced from earlier 1.32 lakh to 85,000 now. Right, going on to the next part of the statement, 8.58 lakh and 15.97 lakh candidates have been registered for JEE Main and the NEET 2020 respectively. Statewide distribution of candidates and centers applicable to the ensuing examinations in September 2020 vis-a-vis the examinations held last January 2020 for G and May 2019 for NEET is attached Annexure 1 and Annexure 2. Now, in order to meet the social distancing requirements, there has been a substantial increase in the number of centers. And also, in order to ensure proper social distancing inside the examination halls, the candidates will be seated in alternate seats in case of JEE Main. In case of NEETJEE, the number of candidates per room has been reduced from earlier 24 to 12 now. Also, for ensuring social distancing outside the examination hall, the entry and exit of candidates has been staggered. Adequate arrangements have also been made outside the examination centers to enable candidates stand with adequate social distancing while waiting. Candidates have also been issued advisory guiding them about do's and don'ts for proper social distancing. The NTA has written to the state governments to extend support in local movement of the candidates so that they're able to reach the examination centers on time. And the NTA finally assures all candidates a safe environment for tests and solicits cooperation from the candidates and their parents in following the standard operating procedures, unquote. That's the entire statement which I read out for you, the viewers, just now. Right, joining me for more on this story is my colleague Arun Sharma. Arun, now we read out the statement, now put it into context for our viewers. Fill us in.
Absolutely, Ramesh. So now there is a clarity. Now the National Testing Agency, that's NTA, has clearly said that and come out with the dates that the JEE Main will be held between 1st of September till 6th of September 2020. And when it comes to NEET UG examinations, this will be held on 13th of September 2020. Now, in an exclusive conversation with Doordarshan News, the Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank also told that yes, there is overwhelming response as far as the NEET and
I'm afraid, Arun, we've had an audio issue with that. We'll try to fix that audio link with you in just a bit. But in the meantime, let me remind our viewers about the news just coming in. Now, this is news just breaking here on DD India and DD News. Now, the JEE Main examination, viewers, will take place from the 1st to the 6th of September and the NEETJEE on the 13th of September. Now, this is news just coming in at this moment because this has been in the news for a long time now. Finally, we have some clarity on the NEET and the JEE examinations. I'm told Arun is back with us. Arun. All right, we'll try to go back to Arun in just a bit, but moving on for now. In an exclusive interview on Tuesday, Education Minister Dr. Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank said the JEE and NEET exams would be held as per schedule in September, in line with the wishes of parents and students alike. He said 85% students had already downloaded the admit card. The minister said students' safety was paramount, that examination centers were allotted as per the convenience of the students. Listen in.
बहुत अभिभावकों के और छात्रों के लगातार हम पर दबाव रहा, साहब आप नीट की परीक्षा क्यों नहीं करा रहे हैं, आप जेईई की परीक्षा क्यों नहीं करा रहे हैं। अभिभावक इतना परेशान थे कि बच्चा कब तक पढ़ता रहेगा, क्या होगा आखिर, ये इसका तो कोई समय जो है होना चाहिए। हम लोग जब परिस्थितियाँ थी तो एक बार थोड़ा सा पीछे किया, फिर दूसरी बार पीछे किया, क्योंकि ऐसी परिस्थितियाँ थी, लोग तैयार भी नहीं थे। आज ही एनटी के जो डीजी ने मुझे सूचना दी, मुझे बहुत खुशी है कि जेईई के जो कुल छात्र थे वो 8.58 लाख छात्रों ने अपना रजिस्ट्रेशन किया था और उसमें से कल तक 7,25,000 छात्रों ने एडमिट कार्ड को डाउनलोड कर दिया। हम छात्र के साथ हैं, पहले उसकी सुरक्षा, उसके बाद उसकी शिक्षा।
And when asked about the reopening of schools, the minister said a decision will be taken in accordance with the guidelines of the Home and Health Ministries.
इस समय एक सवाल जो अमूमन सोशल मीडिया पर बहुत वायरल भी होता है, जिसको लेकर अलग अलग जवाब भी सुनने को मिलते हैं कि स्कूल कब खुलेंगे।
छात्र की सुरक्षा हमारे लिए पहली बात है और उसके बाद उसकी शिक्षा दूसरा महत्वपूर्ण बात है। तो गृह मंत्रालय और स्वास्थ्य मंत्रालय के साथ हम लगातार विचार विमर्श कर रहे हैं। जैसे जैसे उनके सुझाव मिलते रहेंगे वैसे वैसे हम लोग ये आगे की रणनीति को बनाते रहें।
All right, to recap for the benefit of viewers who might just be tuning in, this is the news just coming in. The JEE main examination will be held from the 1st to 6th of September and the NEETJEE will be held on the 13th of September. All right, moving on. Good news in India's battle against COVID-19 pandemic. 66,000 people have recovered in the last 24 hours alone. It's the highest number of recoveries in one single day. The recovery rate has improved further to 75.92%. And globally, the number of the infected rises to 2 crore and 38 lakh.
India is marching ahead in the fight against COVID-19. While on the one hand, the recovery rate is increasing, on the other, India's testing infrastructure is expanding. The Health Ministry stated that around 3 crore 68 lakh samples have been tested in India so far. At the same time, the rate of infection in India has fallen to 8.6%. The ministry said that it is following the test, track and treat approach. 24.04 lakh persons have recovered from the virus and the recovery rate has climbed to 75.92%. The fatality rate has fallen to 1.84%.
जो रिकवर्ड पेशेंट्स हैं, मरीज हैं, उनकी संख्या 24 लाख से ज़्यादा हो गई है और वो आज की तिथि में जो एक्टिव केसेस हैं उनके 3 गुना से भी ज़्यादा हैं, लगभग 3.5 गुना है, 3.4 टाइम्स ऑफ एक्टिव केसेस। रिकवरी रेट इस समय 75% से अधिक हो गया है। इसकी वजह से जो एक्टिव केस हैं वो कुल केसेस के मात्र 22% रह गए हैं।
While in February, only one laboratory in Pune was testing COVID-19 samples, 1,524 labs are currently carrying out the tests. There are 986 government labs and 538 private labs carrying out the tests. Trials are underway for 3 vaccine candidates in India and 3 vaccine candidates are in pre-clinical stage. Asked whether the Russian government has placed any formal request for the manufacturing of its COVID-19 vaccine in India, the government said that as far as the vaccine Sputnik 5 developed by Russia is concerned, India and Russia are in communication.
3 वैक्सीन्स इस समय भारत में कुछ थोड़ा आगे बढ़ सकी हैं और 3 और वैक्सीन्स हैं जो प्री क्लिनिकल स्टेज में हैंगी।
कोवैक्स, as you must know, is a arrangement brought about by WHO, CEPI and Gavi, and it works on the principle of pooling the demand of member countries for vaccine on one hand and pooling on the other hand the supply of certain shortlisted candidate vaccines. They have so far shortlisted 9 such vaccines whose manufacturing capacities they have ascertained, and therefore then they have done a projected pooling of what would be available.
India should be well placed to beat the pandemic with the tools of social distancing and other precautions. With inputs from Nitendra Singh, News Night Desk, DD News.
All right, let's go back to the news we are tracking here on News Night. It's to do with the JEE and the NEET examinations. Viewers, please note that the JEE examination will be held from the 1st to the 6th of September, September 1 to September 6, and the NEET UG on the 13th of September. All right, joining me is my colleague Arun Sharma for more. Arun, take it away.
Absolutely, Ramesh. Now, it's an important, decision by the NTA. Now, as earlier I said, that the Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank in an exclusive conversation with DD News also said this very important part that yes, government is ensuring that a conducive environment can be given to the students when they're appearing or taking the examinations as far as NEET and JEE examinations are concerned. So yes, 2 important dates. Let's just remind our viewers that from 1st of September till 6th of September, JEE mains will be held as far as these examinations are concerned. When we talk about the NEET examinations, these examinations will be held on 13th of September.
Right.
Now, when we talk about the JEE examinations, approximately 8.5 lakh students have registered as far as JEE examinations are concerned. Now, when we talk about the NEET examinations, close to 15 lakh students have registered. Now, as Dr. Nishank has, in an exclusive conversation with DD News, clearly said that approximately 85% of students have also downloaded the admit card as far as these examinations are concerned. So, yes, it's an overwhelming response by the students as well that they come forward. Now, they're downloading the admit card as well. So, this gives a sense that now students are also, prepared to take the examinations, be it the JEE examinations and, of course, the NEET examination. Second important and big takeaway, Ramesh, is that the focus of the government and primarily what NTA is trying to do is trying to, give a proper social, conducive environment to the student so that a social distancing can be ensured when taking up the examinations like JEE and NET. We know this fact, the shifts have been increased. When we talk about the JEE examinations, the shifts have been increased from 8 to 12. Right, and of course we know this fact that the number of centers have also been increased when we talk about this JEE and NEET examinations. Important part over here is that, Ramesh, that the government now is giving more options to the students to opt out the best possible suited the examination center as far as students are concerned. Now, there were various students, they were concerned about the fact that what if their examination center is in a containment zone? What will happen if in case any examination center is in a containment zone? So now 99%, you can say that what government, what primarily NTA, the National Testing Agency, is saying that government is ensuring that a preferable or whatever the preference of the student is as far as examination center is concerned, close to 99% of the students have got whatever desired examination center they were looking for that has been given as far as these examinations are concerned. Second important part, when it comes to the students, when we talk about the NEET examinations, 50% increase has been seen as far as seating capacities are concerned. That means 50% the social distancing will be ensured. In every 2 benches there will be 1 student that will be sitting. So this gives a message that how social distancing will be ensured as far as this examination is concerned. The NTA press release, if you look at this way, the NTA press release, the statement clearly ensures this point that the important part is that the number of candidates per room has been reduced from earlier 12 from early 24 to 12 students. That means approximately 50% of the students have been reduced. That means in one examination room, primarily 12 students will be sitting. So the focus of the government and of course the NTA is that the social distancing can be ensured, number one, and exams can be conducted. And yes, of course, the careers should not be compromised as far as these students are concerned. Close to 23 lakh students, which includes the JEE students and of course the students taking up the NEET examination, the 23 lakh students who are primarily appearing or who have registered in these examinations. So yes, on one side, government is ensuring the examinations can be done in a conducive environment where social distancing norms are in place. And on the other side, government is ensuring that the preferable destination primarily or preferable examination center can be given to the students, because students were having a major concern that if the examination center is in a containment zone. So what happens to that part? So yes, it's a big announcement by the NTA.
Indeed, a big announcement, as my colleague Arun was pointing out. So once again, viewers, let me recap. The JEE main examination will be held from the 1st to the 6th of September, and the NEETJEE on the 13th of September. On that note, Arun, thank you so much for that update. Appreciate it. Right, moving on for now. Union Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari on Tuesday laid the foundation stone of 45 highway projects worth more than 11,000 crore rupees in Madhya Pradesh. It was attended by Union Ministers Thawar Chand Gehlot, Prahlad Patel and Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan, among others.
The foundation stone of 1,361 kilometer long 45 highway projects worth 11,427 crores was laid in Madhya Pradesh. While laying the foundation stone of these 45 highway projects, Union Minister for Road Transport and Highways Nitin Gadkari said that these projects will create tourism and employment opportunities in the state, and along with this, the development of entire Madhya Pradesh, including backward areas, will get further momentum. He said that the development of roads would be very beneficial for handloom and small industries in the state, and Madhya Pradesh could also contribute in realizing the dream of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Gadkari expressed concern on the lack of skilled drivers in the country and said that he wants to open driving training school in every district of the country on PPP model. He said government is working on road projects worth 1.5 lakh crores in Madhya Pradesh, and the picture of the state will change with the completion of these projects.
ये हाईवे पिछड़े हुए क्षेत्र से है और इसलिए चंबल एक्सप्रेसवे उत्तर प्रदेश, मध्य प्रदेश, राजस्थान के पिछड़े क्षेत्र से होकर गुजरेगा और इस क्षेत्र में इसमें विकास की नई गति मिलेगी। ये 358 किलोमीटर लंबा एक्सप्रेसवे बनाया जाएगा, जिसमें 309 किलोमीटर मध्य प्रदेश में है और उत्तर प्रदेश में 17 किलोमीटर है। राजस्थान में इसकी लंबाई 32 किलोमीटर है। यह एक्सप्रेसवे दिल्ली मुंबई कॉरिडोर, नॉर्थ साउथ कॉरिडोर से ईस्ट वेस्ट कॉरिडोर को जोड़ेगा।
Speaking on the occasion, Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan said that apart from paving the way for development of Madhya Pradesh, these roads will also enhance better connectivity, convenience and economic growth in and around the state. Shivraj Singh Chauhan said that under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, Madhya Pradesh is scaling new heights of development.
राष्ट्रीय राजमार्गों का चौड़ीकरण, मजबूतीकरण, पुलों के निर्माण एवं रेलवे ओवरब्रिज के निर्माण होने से प्रदेश के पर्यटक स्थल, इनकी कनेक्टिविटी में बहुत सुधार होगा और पर्यटन की संभावनाएं हमारी और तेजी से बढ़ेगी। औद्योगिक गतिविधियों को भी बढ़ावा मिलेगा। निर्माण कार्यों में होने वाले वैसे स्थानीय लोगों को रोजगार के अवसर मिले हैं और मिलेंगे।
For long, many important areas of Madhya Pradesh were awaiting good road projects. Now these projects would not only enhance better connectivity in the state, but also pave the way for the development of the state at a fast pace. Ajit Dwivedi's report from Bhopal for DD India.
And now to the latest on the Raigad building collapse in Maharashtra. 60 people, including a 4-year-old child, have been rescued so far, but 13 people have died in the tragedy.
Images of hope amidst the rubble of despair. What some may call the 4-year-old miracle of Mahad. Rescue operations that began last night at the collapsed 5-storied building in Raigad district of Maharashtra resulted in over 60 people being pulled out of the debris alive. The child, named Mohammad Bangi, was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance. Unfortunately, his mother could not be rescued.
वो आदमी नीचे आए, जो बूढ़े लोग थे वो आए नहीं, तो एक बच्चा 2 माले पे मिला उसको, 5-6 साल का था, तो उसको ऐसा बगल में उठा के वो भाग के नीचे आया। बाद में उसके ऊपर दीवार गिरी, वो बच्चे को फेंक डाला उसने। बच्चा अच्छा है, लेकिन उसको पैर को मार लगा है।
3 National Disaster Response Force teams are engaged in rescue and relief operations. Latest technology, including drones and sniffer dogs, are being used in the rescue efforts.
एक छोटा बच्चा भी आपने देखा है, वो 7.5 साल का, उसको बिल्कुल लाइव, बिल्कुल सुरक्षित निकाला गया उसको। और ये सिर्फ इसलिए हो पाया क्योंकि जो टेक्निकल सर्च का स्टाइल है, जो NDRF का और जो साथ में फायर ब्रिगेड है, पुलिस है, सब मिलकर काम कर रहे हैं।
A case has been registered against the builder, RCC consultant, and the architect under sections 304, 304A and 338 of the IPC. Meanwhile, State Ministers Aditi Tatkare and Eknath Shinde visited the site of the building collapse.
ये हादसा दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है। निश्चित रूप से ये जो काम हुआ है इसमें बहुत ही लापरवाही बरती गई है। जो बिल्डर है उसने क्वालिटी काम नहीं किया है, इसलिए उसके ऊपर FIR लॉन्च हुआ है और जो भी अधिकारियों ने अपने अधिकार में इसको बांधकाम परवानगी दी है, CC OC जो दी हुई है उसके ऊपर कड़ी कार्रवाई करने की सूचना भी मैंने दी हुई है।
In a tweet, President Ramnath Kovind described the news of the building collapse at Mahad and loss of lives as distressing. He condoled the loss of lives and wished a speedy recovery to the injured. Vice President Venkaiah Naidu said he was pained by the loss of lives. He expressed condolences to the bereaved families and prayed for the quick recovery of the injured, adding that all possible assistance is being provided by authorities. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also tweeted, "Saddened by the building collapse in Mahad, my thoughts are with the families of those who lost their dear ones. I pray the injured recover soon." Local authorities and NDRF teams are at the site of the tragedy, providing all possible assistance. The injured are being treated at a hospital in Mahad, while those with serious injuries are being taken to Mumbai for advanced treatment. The 5-storied building had 40 apartments. With Yogesh Sheetal and Shishir Shelar from Mumbai, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
In other news, incessant rains across several states have worsened the flood situation. In Gujarat's Morbi district, around 30 people were rescued by the NDRF. Though the situation improved slightly in Bihar, the number of impacted people remains unchanged.
Monsoon is active in most parts of the country with exceptionally high rain causing floods in many parts. Gujarat, Rajasthan and Karnataka bearing the brunt of flooding. National Disaster Response Force team rescued 30 persons stranded from the flood-affected areas in Chikali village of Morbi district in Gujarat that is flooded due to incessant rainfall in the past few days. The Met Office has predicted isolated extremely heavy rainfall over southwest Rajasthan and Gujarat. Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yedurappa conducted an aerial survey of North Karnataka to take stock of the damage caused. After visiting flood-affected districts of the state, the Chief Minister said a report is being prepared to secure centre's assistance for the flood-ravaged parts. He said that the state government was providing relief and rehabilitation to those affected. Meanwhile, in Uttarakhand, one person died while 3 others sustained injuries after a house collapsed due to a cloudburst in Thali Kansari village in Chamoli district. In Uttar Pradesh, moderate to heavy rain and thunder showers occurred at many places in eastern part and a few places in the western region. The maximum rainfall recorded in Nighashan and Jaunpur. As many as 1,166 villages in 17 districts are affected by floods. Over half of the affected villages are marooned and relief work is going on in the affected areas. 17 NDRF teams have been pressed into service. Sharda River at Lakhimpur Kheri's Palia Kalan, the Sarayu at Elgin Bridge in Barabanki, Ayodhya and Turtipar in Balia are flowing above the danger mark. Though the flood situation in Bihar has improved, the number of affected persons has not come down significantly. 1,333 panchayats in 130 blocks of 16 districts still facing floods in the state. 27 persons have died due to the current floods. According to the Disaster Management Department, the water level of the Ganga River has decreased. Additional Secretary of the Disaster Management Department, Ram Chandradu, said that till now relief amount of 6,000 per family has been disbursed through DBT to 10,48,000 families.
वो राहत शिविर में रहने वालों की संख्या 5,000 है। आज के दिन में भी सामुदायिक किचन घट गया है। कल तक 198 था, आज 174 है। और जो कम्युनिटी किचन्स में जो भोजन करने वालों के भी घट के आज के दिन में 1,38,000 लोग अभी भोजन कर रहे हैं। बाढ़ का स्थिति इंप्रूव हो रहा है।
According to the Met Office, there has been heavy rainfall in the catchment areas of Bagmati and Adwara rivers in Nepal. This is expected to increase the water level in these rivers in Bihar. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
All right, take a look at what else is making news around India in our National Roundup segment.
BJP President JP Nadda held a virtual meeting with party general secretaries and discussed several important issues. The agenda included detailed discussion with regard to the Bihar Assembly elections. After the end of lockdown in Bihar, it is expected that several senior leaders of the party will be on tour to the state. Former IPS officer Kuppaswamy Annamalai joined the BJP, asserting that he will work to bring the nationalist spirit to Tamil Nadu. Joining the BJP at its national headquarters in New Delhi, Annamalai described himself as a fan and admirer of Narendra Modi and quoted from ancient Tamil text Tirukkural to say that the Prime Minister embodies a leader's qualities of fearlessness, courage, knowledge and giving spirit. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed deep grief over the demise of Dome Raja of Varanasi, Jagdish Chaudhary. PM in a tweet further said, Jagdish Chaudhary was a staunch believer of the rich culture of Kashi and was an active participant of the Sanatan tradition in Varanasi. PM Modi also remembered his works for social harmony. He prayed for peace to the departed soul and strength to his family to bear the loss. There was no change in the health condition of former President Pranab Mukherjee and he continues to be on ventilator support. Doctors attending to the 84-year-old former president said that his vital parameters were stable. Mukherjee was admitted to the Army's Research and Referral Hospital in Delhi Cantonment on 10th August. An Interpol global arrest warrant has been issued against Ami Modi, wife of Nirav Modi, prime accused in the over $2 billion PNB bank fraud case on charges of money laundering. The red notice has been issued by the global police body on the request of the Enforcement Directorate. Actor Sushant Singh Rajput's flatmate Siddharth Pitani, cook Neeraj Singh and domestic help Divesh Sawant were again called for questioning by the CBI in connection with actor's death case. These three persons were present in Rajput's house at Mount Blanc Apartments in suburban Bandra when the 34-year-old actor was found hanging in his room on 14th June.
Moving on, senior Congress leader Kapil Sibal, who is among the 23 party leaders who have written to Sonia Gandhi seeking an organizational overhaul, tweeted once again saying it is not about a post but about the country that matters most. Now, a day after a stormy Congress Working Committee meeting, Sibal made the remarks in a cryptic tweet. Earlier on Monday, after a marathon meeting of the party's top decision-making body, the CWC urged Sonia Gandhi to continue as its interim chief till an AICC session can be convened. The CWC also resolved that inner party issues cannot be deliberated through the media or in public fora and that all such issues must be raised within the party in the interest of propriety and discipline. Meanwhile, in a one-liner, suspended Congress leader Sanjay Jha has also tweeted saying, "This is just the end of the beginning," unquote. Now, the former Congress spokesperson was suspended from the party last month with immediate effect for quote-unquote anti-party activities.
CWC meeting was inconclusive and to that extent a great disappointment. All the 23 signatories who have signed on the letter to the Congress President have actually made very constructive suggestions which will have a beneficial impact on the Congress Party. And more importantly, they have a stake in the Congress Party's future.
In other news, the Shipping Ministry has facilitated over 1 lakh crew changes on Indian ports and charter flights. It is the highest number of crew changes in the world. Now, a crew change consists of replacing a ship's crew with another. Shipping is among the worst hit sectors due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Yet, all Indian ports were operational and providing essential services throughout the pandemic. Shipping Minister Mansukh Mandavia has told the Director General of Shipping to come up with a robust grievance redressal mechanism to facilitate seafarers. He said seafarers should be able to approach the ministry during difficult times such as these and that no seafarer should suffer due to a poor grievance redressal system. Moving on, First Lady Melania Trump of the US and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo are key speakers on the second night of the 2020 Republican National Convention. Now, two of President Trump's children will also speak. Pompeo is breaking with tradition in addressing the convention as the Secretary of State. Meanwhile, First Lady Melania Trump is set to give the marquee address from the Rose Garden. Meanwhile, on day one, top Republicans warn Americans that Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden and his running mate Kamala Harris's victory in the elections will convert the U.S. into a quote-unquote socialist utopia and a fundamentally different country. Unlike Democrats, who shifted their convention to an all-virtual affair, Republicans kept a scaled-down in-person gathering in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's a wrap, but news continues here on DD India and DD News. You can catch all the latest updates on our social media, mobile and digital platforms. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Newsnight was co-sponsored by